Hello everybody, welcome to the 40-day challenge using your Whoop. When you get the Whoop, it'll look like that. When you open up the Whoop, you just scan that thing, and the rest is literally self-explanatory. You'll download the app and be able to interact with the technology. What I want to go through on the laptop, because it's just a larger screen, easier to navigate, is go through some of the flaws in the technology. It's very important that you understand what this thing does and what it doesn't do. But let me just begin by saying, what is the point of doing something like the Whoop? The point is that, guys, what you measure, what you track, improves. What you measure, what you track, improves. The important thing is understanding the information. Accurate information is different than accurate knowledge. Accurate information is different than accurate knowledge. Knowledge is applied information. So you can get information from this Whoop and you can try to apply it. But what happens if what you're applying is wrong? And that's what I'm going to go through here. The benefit of the information has to do with understanding what you're looking at. Unfortunately, we're in a society where everything has to be dumbed down. I've tried to treat all of you through the 40-day challenges and through the UTC like you're not an idiot. I'm trying to break down the science, spoon feed it to you so that you guys understand that the reason why things like cookie diets and whatnot don't work is because there are fundamental things that people don't bother to learn. Let's begin with this score right here. You see that? How it's nice and green and there's a percentage, and of course that's what people will pay attention to. Guys, this is what's called an algorithm. And the algorithms of technology are not what you want to pay attention to. This thing over here called strain, now let me go back a little bit here. This thing called strain is not what you want to pay attention to. What you want to pay attention to is right here. Heart rate variability. You're going to pay attention to your resting heart rate. You're going to pay attention to things in sleep that we will go over. And we want to pay attention to your respiration rate, as well as a few other things we will get into. Now you may say, why? Well, good. I'm glad you're asking. Here's why. Let's start with strain. And I'll go back to On Purpose Friday. You see that recovery score of 25, first of all? Let me explain why my recovery score is 25 real quick. And it has to do with heart rate variability from the night before. Now, hand to God, Thursday night was the first time, so this was Friday morning. Thursday night was the first time I had alcohol in about 6 weeks, and it was because I met with a bunch of people who were in from out of state. As a result, I slept horribly. My body's heart rate variability and resting heart rate were all thrown off, leading to a poor recovery score overnight and a poor performance in my workout the next day. It's the heart rate variability that we want to pay attention to. So listen carefully. Heart rate variability is not an algorithm. This thing is trying to piece together a bunch of pieces of information and give you a score. I assure you that if you look at heart rate variability, it will correlate with your recovery scores. It is the heart rate variability that is the hard data from your biochemistry. That's what you want to pay attention to. The hard data of your biochemistry. Now, what is it? Well, we've known about heart rate variability for over 10 years. A good friend of mine named Mike T. Nelson, PhD, is somebody who studied it extensively, and I will be interviewing him for the benefit of you guys later on in the 40-day challenge. But this is something that I have talked to Mike about over 10 years ago, and we've known about for a long time. What it is when your heart is pulsing, when you recognize that the pulses are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, very steady, that is not a good thing. That is the type of thing where you recognize, wow, there's overtraining or there's something else going on in the body that is causing it to be perceived to be overtrained or overworked. So that could be things like lack of sleep. It could be things like lack of hydration. It could be lots of things that we will cover in detail. But that is the hard marker right there it's just like your heart rate, right? Your heart rate is an actual thing from your biochemistry. It's not this. It's not a algorithm. That is not an algorithm. So when it comes to recovery, I want you to pay attention to heart rate variability. What is it? How do you improve heart rate variability? You improve heart rate variability through getting enough sleep, through being hydrated, through taking the supplements. All of the things that we went through in previous 40-day challenges is how you improve heart rate variability. The point of today's video is not to go through all of those things quite yet. It's to get you to understand the flaws. Okay, so the flaws are these scores, like recovery, have a lot to do with heart rate variability. It's the heart rate variability I want you to pay attention to. Pay attention to your resting heart rate. Pay attention to your sleep, which we'll go over. Pay attention to your respiration rate, which I'll explain how to improve your respiration rate as we go forward. More importantly, guys, when we look at strain, okay, and let me go to, the perfect Friday. Okay, so check this out. I'll go to my weightlifting workout. Notice the strain was 6.5. I did a weightlifting workout for 52 minutes in the morning. This is a hard workout. Anybody who trains with me on a Friday will tell you it is difficult. Friday, I did a pull-up ladder later on in the day. The perceived strain was 4.4. And then at night, I did an activity that was a 7.0. So if you just go by strain, this thing at night was much harder than that and even harder than my workout. Okay, but let's talk about that for a second. So this is my workout in the morning right here. The max heart rate was only 132. The average heart rate was 127. That is indicative of a weight training workout. So at the high points here, these are at the high points of my sets, lots of sets that I've done over the course of 52 minutes. And so each peak represents the end of a set, okay? And like I said, hard stuff. Now, the thing is, guys, is that this strain only goes based on heart rate. Let me say it again. Strain only goes based on heart rate. That is a problem. That's a big problem. Why? Because the technology cannot measure how hard a muscle contracts. So if you were to get under a squat bar and squat 500 pounds, and that strain that you're coming up, all your body, all that muscle strain that you're using to get the weight up, the amount of energy that you're using, the mitochondria, the muscle fibers, then the amount of damage you're doing to the muscles in order to, break them down, and then later on having to build back up. The benefit of a weight training workout goes beyond what you're doing in the lift itself. The growth happens when you rest. So the strain that's occurring is way, way, way beyond the heart rate. But this Whoop can't measure it. No other technology can measure it. The only way to measure it is if you wore a special suit that could measure the contraction of your muscles, which they make, obviously, way more expensive. But I want you to be aware that this strain is fundamentally flawed when it comes to weight training. Weight training is your biggest payoff, guys. I went through that in multiple 40-day challenges about why. So if you, at the end of the day, go, oh, my strain is only 13.4, but you did a weight training workout and it was, appropriately difficult, then you're missing the boat because you don't understand what you're looking at. That's what I'm trying to explain to each of you. And watch this. Again, ask anybody who trains with me in the morning. They will tell you it's hard as hell. Then I did a pull-up ladder later on, which was actually much easier than this workout. But guys, now check this out. So that's my weightlifting workout. You know, it was just a pull-up ladder, meaning I went from 1 to 2 to 3 to 4 to 5 to 6 to 7 to 8. Okay? But then what was this activity that was so much harder than that one? This activity is called sex, everybody. It's the activity of sex. Max heart rate 168, average heart rate 113. Duration 24 minutes. Now some of you guys are thinking, damn, it's a long time, Tom. Well, what can I say? The term Minuteman is an appropriate term for some people, not this guy. But notice that this heart rate, okay, didn't get elevated until later on, all right? And anybody that, and I'm not kidding here, sexual activity is truthfully a very healthy activity, everybody, okay? But let me ask you a question. What do you think was harder, the sex or the workout in the morning? What do you think literally taxed my body more? Okay, this is what the fundamental flaw is in the technology. Your heart rate is the only thing it has to go by. It cannot perceive muscle contraction. And the stronger you are, the harder you contract the muscle, the more energy you're using. The breakdown of the muscle fibers are tremendous. Later on, your body has to try to recover from that by eating, protein. And that's how you burn even more calories via weight training workout, okay? So these algorithms, guys, okay, it's cool to be able to see, as we go back here, I'll go backwards, these green, these yellow and these green things and these blue things and whatnot. It's great. It's cool. All right. But I assure you that when you look at my screen, and if you were me for a day doing my weight training workouts, you actually wouldn't believe how difficult some of those workouts are. Okay. But if you're only going based on HIIT work or cardio work, then that's a hell of a lot different than if you're weight training, okay? So sometimes when you see incomplete data, that's just because I was charging my whoop. But for the most part, guys, you see mostly greens and yellows, and that's what most of you should see. Reds should only come about from doing something wrong, meaning you drank alcohol or you got a really bad night's sleep for some reason, could be stress. All right, you get the idea? So I'm gonna stop there. It's a lot of information. I don't want the video to get too long. I'm gonna try to make most of my videos 10 minutes or less. All right, guys, let's do this. Have a great rest of the day. Please, guys, share information that I put out. It helps me. Give me a thumbs up on the videos. I appreciate your time. I appreciate your support. Have a good day.